We are back on the Rational Boomer podcast, and this isn't going to be one of your regular podcasts. This is going to be an extra podcast. We have a podcast running today that was a live from TikTok, so I thought it only fair that I do a live on YouTube. It's a smaller group and it's a little more even paced, and I thought it would be interesting to talk on YouTube as well as do a recording for the Rational Boomer podcast. Again, this is an extra podcast. This isn't a normal podcast. So it's just an extra deal that I'm throwing in there because I felt like it. I got everything else done. I'm sitting here and realizing that there's a lot of things to talk about that's going on. It's the impending shutdown. We got this impending imminent shutdown. We are doing YouTube live, and I'm also recording it for podcast purposes. So welcome to the YouTube live. We got a lot of stuff to talk about, and I'm looking forward to hearing from some of the viewers here on YouTube so we can talk about different things that are happening. And there's plenty happening. We know that the Republicans and the Democrats in the House of Representatives came to a bipartisan agreement for a funding bill that would help to avert the government shutdown on Friday, which is later today if you're listening to the podcast, and tomorrow if you're listening to the YouTube live. Everybody thought it was cool. They thought they would get this thing done. They'd sign it. They'd put it in place. Everything would be working perfectly. And then, of course, Donald Trump stuck his orange fucking nose in the middle of the thing and said, yeah, we don't do deals with Democrats. We're going to nix that deal, the deal that Republicans and Democrats agreed upon, and we're not going to do it. So everybody was all in a fluster. What now? What's going to happen? So then, oddly enough, Elon Musk and Donald Trump decided that, no, I'm sorry, Elon Musk and Mike Johnson decided that they would try to come up with a better plan, a much more acceptable plan. Analytical Iowans here, you know Eric, he does lives on TikTok. He's on the podcast frequently. Couch, I don't believe in God. Am I making a mistake? You got to believe in what you believe in. Nobody's making a mistake. You believe what you believe. Rita says, hi, I'm from Ohio. Nice to see you, Rita. But anyway, what we're finding out now is those of you that voted for Donald Trump didn't realize that, in fact, you were voting for Donald Trump as vice president and Elon Musk as president, because apparently he's calling the shots. He wants to shut down the government. He thinks that's a good idea. Now, nobody in their right mind thinks that, but Musk and Donald Trump aren't in their right mind. But what it appears as though is that Donald Trump has been leveraged by Elon Musk. Elon Musk played Donald Trump. You know, all these people talking about Elon Musk being the president, Donald Trump being the vice president, you'd think you'd hear something back. That's not something he would normally tolerate. But he's quiet as a fucking mouse, letting Elon Musk do whatever he's going to do. Unfortunately, what Elon wants to do is not working. Let's see here. Christopher Collier says, solid take, but Mike Lee and Speaker Johnson derailed the CR. Well, it wouldn't surprise me about Mike Lee. He is a Trump-humping piece of shit, too, out of Utah. And it's the Republican MAGA group that is derailing everything. And then it is the people that, the people that, what am I trying to say? I'm trying to add somebody as a moderator here, Rebecca. So Rebecca, you're a moderator now, if, whether you wanted to be or not. But the regular Republicans, the Republicans that insist they aren't like Donald Trump, we've got them trying to separate themselves from Donald Trump, but still voting along with him. So as much as you want to think you're better than Donald Trump, as long as you ride with him, as long as you support him, you're culpable. Yeah, analytical Iowa. When Eric says this, they couldn't lose 5 votes and they lost 38. They cannot govern. You see, after this didn't pass in the House, this new Plan B, which was ridiculous, they wanted to raise the debt ceiling, which is something the Democrats wanted to do at one point, but they wanted to raise it $5 trillion. And the reason they wanted to do that is so they could give tax cuts to the wealthy. It's as simple as that. Um, and of course, the Democrats weren't having it. And then the Republicans, Mike Johnson, they come out and saying it's the Democrats' fault. They don't want you to have a balanced budget. They don't want to keep the country from shutting down. But here's the thing: 38 Republicans voted against it too. If the Republicans can't pull together and be unified, fuck them. They have the majority. They should be able to pass this easily, but they always need to go to the Democrats for help. And here's the thing: next year or the next session, they've got fewer majority votes. So it's going to be even tougher. They aren't going to be able to accomplish anything because they're so divided without the help of Democrats. Rad Bro says, "Are you a veteran, my guy?" I am not. I am not a veteran. Rebecca is out here too, made her a moderator. She's going to be helpful in this. We tend to get a share of Trumplafucks here, not nearly as much as what we get in TikTok, but we get some goofballs here. And frankly, I would love to hear their take on how they feel about voting for Donald Trump, then getting played and realize that Elon Musk is calling the shots. Good for you, Rebecca. She already got one. But she got played. You thought you were smart. You thought you were doing the right thing. Now everybody's having second thoughts. Wait a minute. I thought prices were going to go down. Donald Trump himself says, yeah, I doubt it. I don't think I can do that. They thought taxes were going to go down. Well, here's the deal. They're going to give the tax cuts to the wealthy. And where do you think they're going to get the money to pay for that? Out of you motherfuckers. That's who they're going to get it from. That's just the only way they can possibly do it. So Elon Musk played Donald Trump. Donald Trump played all the Trumplafucks. Alexis says, I'm a black woman in Birmingham, Alabama, and I'm scared for my husband and I. I get that. I get that. I think just be safe and you'll be fine. I don't think that this whole thing is going to be as bad as what people think. Donald Trump is incompetent. The Republicans, Mike Johnson, they're all incompetent. They don't get much accomplished. If you think back to the first term of Donald Trump's presidency, they talked a lot. They had a lot of threats, but they weren't able to accomplish anything. And here's the problem. This is the problem that Donald Trump had the first time around. He will have the problem the second time around. He doesn't understand how the game works. He doesn't understand how the system works. He thinks everything should work around him, and government's too big for that. Joe Biden knew how the system worked. That's why he got things accomplished. Donald Trump's not capable of that, and the clowns he's putting in the cabinet are no different. Lurch says, why the fuck do you get that? That's irrational and just plain idiotic. I have no idea what you're fucking talking about, Lurch. Going on. 2025 said he won't leave office. Well, he doesn't have a choice. He's going to leave office. 2025 has a bunch of shit in it too. Just because it's in that document doesn't mean everything is going to be put in play. As I said, Donald Trump's incompetent. He needs the complicity of the Republicans in Congress. And I'm telling you, not all Republicans are going to stand by Donald Trump or Elon Musk's side. Today was a perfect example of that. They wanted to pass this thing that Donald Trump said was beautiful and perfect, and 38 Republicans said, fuck yourself. And that's what's going to happen all through this term. There are plenty of Republicans, or enough Republicans, that will say, fuck yourself. We don't want this. And this is why they're going to have a difficult time continuing to try to do anything. These people don't govern, as Eric said. They don't know how to govern, even when they have control or power. It's not about governing. It's about coming and fighting with Democrats, trying to own the libtards. Well, you keep owning the libtards, motherfucker, and do nothing, and we'll ride the time out and take it back. TJ the plumber is here. He loves throwing these morons out. Yeah, TJ and Eric and Rebecca are out there grabbing every Trump fuck that comes through and kicking their ass out, because you know what? You bought what you bought. Now you got to live with it. Don't come here and fight with us. You should fight amongst yourself, because you done fucked up. Nothing here. What's your favorite tractor? Well, yeah, you're not important here. Anybody who comes here and asks me a stupid question, moderators kick them the fuck out. They're just playing games. They're not funny. They're not clever, and they don't add anything to the whole conversation. Spacer says, planning on going to New Zealand, far away from MAGA. Well, I get that, especially people of color, LGBTQ, transgender. I can understand why you'd want to get the fuck out of this country. What Donald Trump and the Republicans will do to this country is a little terrifying. Man from the West says, I don't think the GOP will go along with most of his BS. Well, this is something I've said before, too. Donald Trump held value in the Republican Party up until the election. They needed him to win the election, and fucking impossible to imagine, but he did. So now that he's won the election, he's more of a liability. All he can do is embarrass or crash the economy, and none of that is beneficial to the Republican Party. Donald Trump doesn't care about getting reelected. Even if he could get reelected, he's not smart enough to comprehend that. But the Republicans are. If he crashes the economy, those Republicans are going to have a hell of a time getting reelected. So I think they're going to pull the reins on him once he is inaugurated. Alex Stutson says, thank you so much. You made me feel better. I just subscribed to you. I really appreciate you. Well, Alexis, thank you very much. That's what we try to do. And I'm not out here filling you with bullshit just to make you feel better. I'm trying to tell you the facts that the media won't tell you, or the perspective on something that nobody else tells you. There's more to the story than what MSNBC is willing to tell you. And that's what we try to do here. Eric, Analytical Iowan, he has a page on YouTube. You should check it out. TJ and Rebecca, very helpful. They've been on the show a number of times. And if you haven't listened to the Rational Boomer podcast, I hope you will. It's on every night. We often have guests who are listeners. We read emails. We talk about all the stuff of the day. It's every day. It releases at about 12:15 a.m. every day, and it goes throughout the day. And then the next day, we have another one. Rita Ray says, I'm having a hard time having hope. The election has made me a hermit now, and I don't talk to my son, so I'm alone. Well, you're not alone, Rita. You got all of us. We all have people in our families that are dumbass Trump-la-fucks. You're not alone. And don't hide in your house. If there's ever a time we need people to fight back, it is now. These people are dumb motherfuckers. They're not going to be hard to fight. They're going to end up running away ultimately. So I understand your concerns. I understand your worries, but we need you to fight. We need you to step up and speak out. And you're starting by showing up in this live, and I thank you for that. Miguel Guardas, are you a Trumper? The fuck kind of question is that? Dion Wilson, do you believe in Jesus, my brother? See, these are the questions that have nothing to do with what we're talking about. If you have to ask me if I'm a Trumper, fuck yourself. Do you believe in Jesus? None of your business what I believe. We're talking about politics here. Greetings from California, from Katrina. Hey, Katrina. Val says, why do we have divided government when it says an indoctrined thing? I'll tell you why we have a divided government. It's because of the media. Every media outlet you go to tells you a different story, or doesn't tell you certain things, or lies about certain things, or puts a slant on certain things. You can literally watch MSNBC and go talk to somebody who watches Fox, and neither one of you know what the other is talking about. The media is largely responsible for the divisiveness in this country. And of course, the parties and the politicians don't help much either. Liz Odom, it's my country, not getting run out of it. You're absolutely right, Liza. We're not going to have these dumb fucks run us out of the country. And, that's the most frustrating thing. I had occasion to talk to a Trump-fuck on the podcast, and he was easy to pound into submission. He ran away ultimately, as they do. And I did that to show you what kind of mentality we're up against in this fight. They're absolutely ignorant. They're absolutely stupid. And we should be embarrassed if we run away from them. They're ridiculous. Let's see here. Nancy Chandler says, thank you. We need to educate our youth. Yeah, I guess so. We had a lot of youth voting for Donald Trump. I don't know who their parents were, but they should be fucking ashamed. Because, see, here's the thing. Somebody old like me is concerned about Donald Trump becoming president. I'm not worried about what he's going to do to me. There isn't much he can do to me. But I have two sons, a daughter-in-law, a granddaughter, and a grandson coming. I'm concerned for them. There's going to come a time when I'm no longer here, and I don't want to leave a place that's worse off than when I got here in 1960. So, yes, we've got to teach the youth. Val says, I've never felt a strong feeling for Trump before his election. Never liked him. It's an intuition. Now, Val, it's got to be more than an intuition. All you have to do is watch him, listen to him, see his actions. If you don't hate Donald Trump, there's something wrong with you. Hey, TJ, Dion keeps asking that question. Just get rid of him. Just dump him. He's a joke. Let's see here. Who rules America? Well, since Donald Trump was elected, we know who rules America. The billionaires, the Elon Musk, many billionaires that are dictating what Donald Trump should do. See, that's the thing is you all Republicans think Donald Trump is tough and strong. He's not. He's a weak pussy ass bitch. That's who he is. And he's controlled and manipulated by Vladimir Putin, Kim Jong-un, and every billionaire in this country. If he thinks he can make money, if he can put money in his pocket, he'll do whatever it takes. He's a fool. He's weak. And the people that voted for him should be embarrassed. And they're going to be sad they voted for him in the next 6 months as they see what Donald Trump does. TJ the plumber says Brian Wallenberg is a pussy ass bitch. He quit after 45 minutes. That is the Trump umper that I talked to. Yep, he quit after 45 minutes. Couldn't handle it. Let me talk to any Trump fuck, and I guarantee you I'll have him out the door within 45 minutes. Carpe Diem says, Boomer, love the frequency of the post, brother. My mom loves your work. Haven't seen her laugh so hard in years. Well, say hi to your mom for me. Sound like Mark Wahlberg here. But no, thank her. I appreciate her tuning in and paying attention. Dark Knight says, watching from Ireland. Love your stream. Thank you, Dark Knight. Love the country of Ireland. Never been there, but I am anxious to get there. Captain says, hello from Somalia. I soon come to USA. Well, Captain, are you sure you want to do that? Maybe you ought to wait until we clear out these Trump-fucks because it's not a pleasant place to be. But if you do come, you can trust the Democrats will welcome you. I can't say what the Republicans will do because they're pieces of shit. Random letters and numbers. My grandfather had the same mentality as you. Well, your grandfather must have been a smart man. Here's the thing. When you get to a certain age, you learn some things. You watch things happen. There are people that will see something happen and they will go, oh my God, the world's going to end. There have been times in my life where I thought it was terrible and I didn't know if I'd get through the next day. But funny thing is, 64 years old, I'm sitting here and I'm fine. Everything that seems like it's the end, don't worry about it. You will always get through it. Just stay focused, keep going forward, and we will go through rough times, but it does get better. Ramen Bowl, the problem is we didn't have a good candidate as well. I disagree with you. That is wrong. We had a perfectly fine candidate. The only problem with that candidate is three things. First of all, she only had 90 days to put it together. If she had 2 years to put it together, by like Donald Trump, it might have been a different situation. The other issue is clearly in this country, we have racist and sexist too. So she was a good candidate. For reasonable people, she was a great candidate. I was anxious to see her be president of the United States, but apparently there's still motherfuckers out there that are racist and sexist and stupid. What can I say? We've got racist, stupid, sexist motherfuckers out there in the voting block, and they will vote against their own self interest. The billionaires have ruled since Reagan. Well, there's some truth to that. Ronald Reagan was the beginning of the downfall of the middle class in this country. And it's been steadily going downhill as the Republicans continue to rape us of our money and give it to the wealthy, the people that don't need it. This has been going on for decades, and the Republicans continue to fool a certain faction of the people in this country. It's frustrating. You would think people would be smarter than that, but they just fucking aren't. Make America spell again. Yeah, I like that. Steve says, hey, it's always great seeing you, Mike. Thank you. Great seeing you too. Rebecca says the fact that Brian just dropped off was hysterical. That's always my goal when I'm talking to Trump-fucks. I either want to make them cry or make them run away. I think Brian ran away, and I think he cried later. Or maybe yelled at his wife because he was tired of being exposed as a pussy ass bitch. Cookie says, hi, Boomer. Great to see you. Great to see you, Cookie. Val says, there are two governments outdoing one another. Nothing to do with our free speech. We've never had any rights. Appreciate you. This world needs to be protected. I agree. And we, as a people, need to protect those marginalized people, people of color, LGBTQ, transgender, immigrants, people of different faiths. This is not going to be a good time for them. I mean, I'm an old white guy. Nobody's coming after me. So I got to take that freedom and try to help people that have targets on their back. People have said sometimes the way I talk to these Trump-fucks that I'm a bully. And I will tell you this, I am a bully, but I only bully bullies. This is the thing about Trump-fucks. They have spent years talking over people, pushing people around, making threats. And when I talk to them, they become confused because they're used to the Democrats taking the higher road. Well, I'm not that sophisticated. I will take the low road. I will get in the mud with those motherfuckers and give them exactly what they're putting out. And guess what? They don't like it. So now that I know they don't like it, I'm going to do it more. Kelly says, hi, all. Sorry, I'm late. Yeah, you're not late. Stop in anytime. I didn't give any notice ahead. Steve says, yeah, you know how to read people. Yeah, to be honest with you, I learned how to read people at a very young age. And I did that because I had a narcissistic, very ill-tempered father. And when you're 6, 7 years old, that scares you. So you want to avoid it. So I always watched him very closely. And when it looked like he was going to the dark side, I try to pull him back or get the fuck out of there. And after doing that for many years, living with my father, I just kind of automatically went to other people. Eldred Boykin says, got to keep the faith. You always have to keep the faith. You always got to be confident. And you always have to understand there's always hope. Carpe Diem says she didn't have 3 months to campaign. Well, she had a little more than 3 months. I'm not sure what you're getting at there. I know she raised $1 billion in 3 months, and she had a little time after that. Nonetheless, she didn't have enough time to build the crowd. But I'll be honest with you, because she is a woman and she was a woman of color, I don't know that that would have made a difference. The racist and the sexist in this country are a lot bigger group than I imagined, and it is pitiful. Kamala and Tim were my dream team. Yeah, to be perfectly honest with you, I thought they were a great team. And I think Tim, who is my governor here in the state of Minnesota, would have been a wonderful vice president. Certainly better than JD motherfucking Vance. Do you think Trump will make it to the inauguration? I mean, I think the odds are that he will make it to the inauguration. Will he make it 2 years after that? I doubt it. He doesn't look good. He sounds like he's losing it more and more every time. He's not cognitively sound. He's not healthy either. We can only keep our fingers crossed. If he doesn't make it to the inauguration, that would be cool. I don't know where that puts us. Does that puts us with JD Vance as president or not? A lot of people will say that JD Vance is worse than Donald Trump, and he may be in his ideology, but there's a big difference between JD Vance and Donald Trump. Donald Trump is a wild card. Nobody can contain him. Nobody can control him. He's going to do what he does, and he's going to embarrass a lot of people, mostly Republicans. Now, if Donald Trump is no longer in the picture one way or another, at least JD Vance is a weak ass bitch. We know that. He follows any trend, he takes any suggestions, and he's easily manipulated. If JD Vance ends up being the president, I'm sure the Republicans are going to tell him, calm the fuck down. We've got to settle things down if we have any hopes of being elected in 26 or 28. Unqualified opinion messaging wasn't right. They had it and blew it. Yeah, that's the most frustrating thing. They had an excellent opportunity to beat Donald Trump, take the House and the Senate. Donald Trump was the worst candidate in the history of this country. Kamala Harris had the most enthusiasm and the most money of any candidate in history. It should have been an easy win for her. The fact that Democrats stepped on their own dick, people didn't get out and vote, it is very disappointing and very frustrating. Alexander says, so nice to see someone else who has green eyes. Well, I don't know that I have green eyes. I grew up with brown eyes and then it changed. It's more hazel, but whatever. My granddaughter looked at my eyes and she has brown eyes. Her dad has brown eyes. Mom has blue eyes. And she looked at me and she goes, you got weird eyes, Grandpa. I said, well, I'm old, man. Shit changes when you get old. Kushi Vlogs says, hey from India. Hey, India. Nancy Chandler says, Reagan brought us right wing propaganda, enact the fairness doctrine. Yeah, isn't that interesting? The fairness doctrine. I don't know if a lot of you know what that is. I remember it because back in the day when I worked in regular radio, the fairness doctrine was basically that doctrine that suggested if you give political opinions, you got to have equal time for the other side, right? And that was a good way to balance what was going on in journalism. Because back then we had something called journalism where people would give you the facts and allow you to decide for yourself. Now that's gone away. There is no fairness doctrine, and it's all about opinions. So you don't have journalism anymore. And that's why, as I said, it goes back to why we're divided, because everybody tells a different fucking story. AI Coconut Guy says, watching from the Philippine Islands. Hey, thank you very much, AI. Keandra says, I hope you're doing well. It's Keandra. Hey, Keandra, I'm doing just fine. Do you believe in psychics? Cookie's asking me that. Funny you should ask that. I do believe there are people with psychic ability. There was a period of time where I interviewed a bunch of psychics, but here's what I know for sure. There are psychics, a few psychics that really have some abilities. I don't think they're always 100%. I think they have to fudge a little bit so they come off as 100%, but I do think there are some psychics. That said, I think there are a lot of people out there that claim to be psychics that are not. So I believe in the science, if you want to call it that. I just don't necessarily believe in all people. Yes, bullies in my world don't exist. Yeah, exactly. I've never had much luck tolerating bullies. And that's largely due to my father, again, who was a narcissist, sociopath, and a pathological liar. Not to mention he was a bully. Now, when you're 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years old, you've got to succumb to that bully. But when I got older, bigger, we straightened that shit out. And from that point on, I have not been able to tolerate a bully. I don't get bullied much, but anybody who I see is getting bullied, I can't help but intervene. Now, I'm not talking about getting physical, but I have the ability to embarrass somebody by just talking to them. And I enjoy that. Steve says, "Hey, Mike, I made some Trumplafucks run. My one buddy watched you and said, I have your temperament. I took that as a real compliment." Well, thank you very much. Um, I think temperament's an interesting thing. Trumplafucks have trouble with their anger. Emotions pretty much rule them. Uh, they get mad, they get crazy, they start saying stupid shit. And a long time ago, I came to the realization that losing your temper and just saying anything, you end up worse off than you started out. So I kind of taught myself to control my temper. I don't get mad, I don't yell and scream, but I talk a lot. I talk a lot. Moon says, "Hi, I blocked my brother before the election because he kept sending me videos of Springfield, Ohio. He's still blocked since Trump won. I don't blame you. Sounds like your brother's a sick motherfucker and pretty stupid if he voted for Donald Trump. I hope he struggles with whatever Donald Trump does." Natalie says, "I was a medic. Helping people was my calling. Today, I can say without hesitation, I could stay indifferent to the needs of any Republicans from food, shelter, and medical." I'm with you. That may not be the Christian attitude, but I don't blame you. Val says, I've had two racist parents blaming and blaming. No wonder why my parents were so upset when I got home." Yeah. Racists can't understand white people that aren't racist. It makes no sense. My father was quite racist. My mother was not. Thankfully, I took to more of what my mom's taught than my father, mainly because he wasn't around much. I see TJ the plumber and Rebecca and analytical Iowan blocking people by the fucking truckloads. I love it. Catherine says, "I love you. You're my idol. Please say hello to me." Well, hi, Catherine. I shouldn't be anybody's idol. I'm just an old guy speaking my mind. I'm saying the things a lot of people would want to say. There's a lot of heroes out there. The only reason I'm the one saying, because I don't have a boss, I don't give a fuck what anybody else says, and I'm going to take the opportunity to use my First Amendment, even if Donald Trump and the Republicans don't like it, because the Republicans don't scare me. They think they're tough, but I would love to meet one time, and I guarantee you they're cowardly motherfuckers. David Sarin, wow, fun watching the Trumpers' comments fall off and they get blocked. LOVL, nice to catch up to your live once again. Boom on. Thanks a lot, David. What is your opinion on the drones flying around? I don't know. I find it weird that the government doesn't know anything about them but can tell us they're safe. Um, Not to be a conspiracy theorist, but here's what I do know. Elon Musk is the acting president, apparently, and his brother owns a big drone company. I'm not saying that Elon Musk is behind it, but Donald Trump and Elon Musk are big on distraction. And since nobody is going into battle with these things, nobody's trying to take them down, it seems like it's a big distraction. Um, Rebecca says, Cookie, they are keeping him quiet and separated from Trump for a reason. Yeah, Rebecca said that before. We don't hear much out of J.D. Vance. And her premise is, and it makes some sense, that they're going to try to get Donald Trump out as quickly as possible, and they want to keep J.D. Vance as clean as possible. They don't want him tainted with the bullshit that Donald Trump and Elon Musk are doing. When Donald Trump is gone, they want to bring him in and, like I said, try to settle things down. I think she I think she might be onto something there. Arden says, "Hey, what is this stream about? I'm new." Well, Arden, this is a this is a stream about collecting baseball cards. What do you got? Wow, you're not listening. You can't tell by listening. Rita Ray says Vance was not my choice. My congressman, the senator, and now, geez, I tried to warn people. It didn't work at all. Yeah, there's no accounting for stupidity. There's a fucking ton of it out there, and they are absolutely ignorant. Val says, I hate it when people say I'm old. No, you're not old. Well, old is subjective. Compared to my 4-year-old granddaughter, I'm as old as you can get. She often tells me, she goes, "You're so old, Grandpa." And she covers me up with a blanket, kisses me on the cheek, and says, you just relax. My kids think I'm old too. Now, if you happen to be my age, you don't want to own up to being old. Again, old is subjective. I'm old by comparison. I don't feel old. I don't think old. I don't act old. I'm fully ambulatory. I can walk around and do the things I want to do, and I'm healthy. Um, the health aspect is more important to me than the chronological age. Alexis Stutson, I'm happy to see an open and fair minded white man. Yeah. No, that's the funniest thing about that, Alexis. When I started out on TikTok, people said, you got to have a niche. I don't have a fucking niche. I'm just a guy saying what I think. Turns out my niche was I look like a Trump-la-fuck, but I talk like a liberal. Apparently, that's the niche. Either MAGAs haven't experienced malignant narcissist or they became malignant narcissist. Yeah, there seems to be a lot of malignant narcissists. I mean, you think about it. Elon Musk, Mike Johnson, Matt Gaetz. By the way, we are forgetting with all this other bullshit going on. Remember, they're going to release the report on Matt Gaetz. The investigative committee said that they are going to release the report. Matt Gaetz is already shitting himself, trying to say, well, I did some weird things when I was in my 30s. Yeah, motherfucker, it's going to get exposed. And the thing I like about the fact that it's going to get exposed, we can say, Donnie, this was your boy. This is what you support. And then you can go to the DOJ and Merrick Garland. All this evidence, and you couldn't think to fucking prosecute him? Merrick Garland's a whole different story. He's been an absolute failure. Dr. Drip says, can you say hi to Andrew? Of course I can say hi to Andrew. Hi, Andrew. Steve says, I handled a lot of bullies too. Good for you. We need to put those bullies down. They're fucking idiots. Is this Trump or not Trump? I don't know what you're saying. If you come here and you say, are you a Trump humper? Please, motherfucker, listen. Listen, for fuck's sake. You only have to listen to me for 2 minutes and you know what the fuck I'm talking about. Nancy says, my dad was a Jew with compassion. He was a Democrat. Well, everybody should have compassion, whether they be Democrat or Republican. Luana says, I used to argue with my parents and older relatives about the words they use. My father was the only one who actually listened. When you say words, what do you mean? Like swearing? I know there's a lot of people that say, you swear too much. Well, that's who I am. Warts and all. If you don't like the swearing, I'm sorry. This is just who I am. Val says, Trump is a lot of things. I never liked him. He even talked verbally about his own daughter. Yeah, I think it's clear Donald Trump is creepy, and he is certainly a sexual predator. He admitted to it, and he was literally found guilty of it. So you Republicans voted for a sexual predator. You're worried about transgender folks going into the opposite bathroom, but you're more than happy to vote for sexual predators. Matt Gaetz, Donald Trump, Elon Musk. Yeah, Elon Musk has got some shit going on with regards to that too. Neil Davis says, hey, Mike, been watching for a few months. Love the content. Keep up the good work. Thank you, Neil. I appreciate that. I've been doing this for 4 years. I ain't quitting now. I thought after November 5th, I could pull it back a little bit and relax some. Then that dumb motherfucker wins, and I'm back on top of it, trying to expose these fucks for who they are and try to educate some people as to what's going on. Let's see here. Damn, you guys, you moderators are blocking a lot of motherfuckers. Thank you. Um, how is your granddaughter? She is awesome. Coolest human I've ever met. She's 4 years old. She's a smart ass and she's a no nonsense, take no shit kind of girl. That's my kind of girl. Going to have a grandson here in spring. I have a feeling that she's going to do a good job teaching him about the way of life. And I wouldn't be surprised if he's a smart ass too. He comes by it naturally in this family. Uh, and Congress President Elon and Twitter can stuff it. Yeah, absolutely. Mandy says, "Say hi to me, please." Hi, Mandy. How you doing? I don't know why that's a big deal. Of course, I say hi to Mandy. I say hi to everybody on this motherfucker. Bill says, "Hey, Mike, I really like your work. I hardly ever disagree with your positions." Well, you're doing better than my wife. My wife frequently disagrees with me, but not about politics. She's on board with everything I say regarding politics. It's the other stupid shit I do. But if you're married, you know what I'm talking about. Jan Morgan, in the age of information, ignorance is a choice. You're absolutely right about that. When I talk to somebody like that Brian Wallenberg and I say something, he says, "I never heard of it." Dude, you do a podcast about politics. Maybe read something from time to time. Maybe learn something from time to time. People clearly, purposely want to be ignorant. Kelly Downing says, "I haven't spoken to my dad since the election. You can guess who he voted for." Yeah, I can guess. I feel sorry for you. I mean, we have all lost family members to Donald Trump. You know, somebody said something when Tim Walz was nominated to be the vice presidential candidate. A lot of people really loved Tim Walz. And I knew there was a number of reasons for it, but there were a lot of young women that said he reminded them of the father they once had. And what they meant by that wasn't that their father had passed away, it's that their fathers had been sucked into the cult, which is Donald Trump. And they feel like they've lost their father. So they saw Tim as kind of a surrogate. And I get that. Dominator Slayer, your old friend. Hey, Dominator. Cookie says, "Did E. Jean Carroll receive her payout?" Well, the question here, I'll answer it in two ways. She has not received the payout, but Donald Trump has had to pay the full amount in a bond. So we're waiting for the appeal. When he loses the appeal, the bond that's sitting in escrow will be released to E. Jean Carroll. So Donald Trump is out the money in E. Jean Carroll's case. And he's out a good portion of the money in Letitia James' lawsuit against him to the tune of what, $175 million or something like that. But he's still got to come up with another 275 to fill that out when he loses his appeal there. And no, he doesn't get out of it because he's president of the United States. Keep track of Vance. He's going to be POTUS. Well, that's distinctly possible. And I don't like the idea of him being president, but I think we're better off if he is than Donald Trump. Did you see MTG floated the idea of Speaker Musk? Never going to happen. No, it's not going to happen. If you couldn't pass this funding bill, you could never pass Elon Musk as Speaker of the House. Now, the thing to remember is, and we heard talk about this when they wanted to make Donald Trump Speaker of the House, you don't have to be a representative to be Speaker of the House. You can be somebody from the outside. So certainly Elon Musk could theoretically do it, but they can't pass a funding bill. Nobody's going to vote for Elon Musk except for some Trump-la-fucks. Let's see here. Eric, thankfully, no one takes Elon's BS seriously. Well, nobody with a reasonable mind, but I think there are some Trump-fucks that take him seriously, or at least starting to maybe get a little creeped out about it. They were here for Donald Trump, and it sounds like Elon Musk is superseding Donald Trump. I'm waiting for Donald Trump to say, fuck it. Elon, you're getting too much press. Get the fuck out of here. That's what I would presume he was going to do. But of course, Elon has a lot of money. And the only thing that Donald Trump likes more than adulation is money. Cookie says, I always look forward to listening to your podcast. Thank you very much. The podcast that's going to be going out tomorrow is an email. It's all emails from listeners. After that, the next day, I talked to Kristen, who's a lovely young woman from California, has some great insights. She's on the next podcast. I believe I'm talking with Ed tomorrow morning, and that will go out for Sunday. So we've got a full schedule planned. When will you have Will back on? Last time I had Will on the podcast, he said, I'm going to take a couple of weeks off. And I said, yeah, okay, I'll talk to you next week. Now, and he laughed. But the other day we did a TikTok live. Yesterday we did a TikTok live. Maybe that's the thing that's running today. I think it is. But I did a TikTok live on that TikTok live, Rebecca showed up, TJ showed up, Eric showed up, and Will, in spite of the fact that he's supposed to be on vacation, he showed up. So if you want to hear from Will, check out the podcast. I think it's the one that's coming out tomorrow. So he'll be there. Dan the Man, Texas just shut down 4 public schools and has a surplus budget. Well, if you shut down schools, you'll be able to pocket that money. That's exactly what they're doing. I don't know who in their right mind would live in Texas if they had an opportunity to get out. As far as being a tourist, you don't want to go there, or Florida. It's fucking ridiculous. Nancy Chandler says George Stephanopoulos didn't defame Trump. Are we losing our fourth estate? Have we already lost our fourth estate? I think people are leaving the mainstream media and going to independent media, people like this or Midas Touch or Aaron Parnas or those sorts of things. Yeah, ABC would have won that case if they'd gone to court. What they basically did is put a bribe into Donald Trump and make sure they cover their ass when he's president. Rita Ray says, I'm glad I found you and others that speak the truth. At least there are folks that can help us hang on. Thank you. Well, and that's the important thing. We do have to hang on. We can't just give up and die. That's exactly what they want from us. There's those people that are terrified about Donald Trump becoming president. You have to understand that's exactly what Donald Trump wants to do. There's 2 things he wants from people. He wants them to idolize him or be terrified of him. If you're terrified of Donald Trump, you're giving him exactly what he wants. We can't do that. That's why we got to double down, be tough, and kick his fucking orange ass. Let's see here. MTG, old Muppet face. Yeah, she's I don't usually appearance shame because I'm not the handsomest guy in the world. Maybe that allows me to do that, but Marjorie Taylor Greene is a scary looking bitch. I'm just saying. What's up, man? God bless you. You should have me on your podcast as a guest. Well, send me an email. We'll talk a bit. And if you're not crazy, I'll put you on the fucking podcast. But you got to be a listener of the podcast. How much money do these people need when there are homeless people on the street? Well, they don't give a fuck about the homeless people. They don't care about the middle class people either. They only care about filling their own pockets. You would hope the Republicans and the Trump-fucks would gather that from based on what they've seen, but they're too slow and too stupid. Love all your guests, but Ed is the best sharp old bird. Yeah, he is a sharp old bird. I've known Ed for 30 years. I used to work with him on a radio station here in Minneapolis. So he and I have a good chemistry when we talk, and I always look forward to talking to him. Tomorrow morning, I will talk to him, and then that will air Sunday. So be looking forward to that. Mike, I read that Trump was going to go after influencers who are talking against him. Please stay safe. Oh, I'm terrified. I'm fucking terrified. First of all, I'm not big enough. By the time he gets down to me, he will be out of office. But more importantly, I hope he does try to sue me because I don't lie. You can't sue somebody for defamation for telling the truth. Secondly, because it's Donald Trump and I'm just this little influencer, I guarantee you there's some big time lawyer that would love to take it pro bono for the publicity. And lastly, I'm old. And I did the smart thing when you get old. I put everything I own in my kids' names. So what are you going to get? You going to get my TikTok money? Fuck you. No, I'm not afraid of these motherfuckers. Somebody has to stand up and talk the shit, and I have the least to lose, so it might as well be me. Doesn't Musk have other jobs to focus on? There has to be something useful for him to do it at X, SpaceX, or Tesla. Well, he has other companies, but see, that's the thing is he doesn't do much of anything. He just fucks off. He doesn't do anything at all. It's absolutely ridiculous. The water is getting bad everywhere, especially in Texas. Frack some more. Yeah. I thought when you had Kristen on, she was great. Yeah, she is great. And she's going to be on again, what, on Saturday, I think? Yeah, she'll be on Saturday. So be looking for that. My daughter is a gynecologist, OB, MD. She just moved out of Texas. Well, that was a good move. You're going to get a lot of OBGYNs moving out of Texas. It's not safe for them there either. They need to help people, and they can't do it when Texas suggests they'll put them in jail for doing that. All right, we're moving along. Um, Terminator, I like your hat. Simple but nice. Yeah. People always ask me about the hats. They're not special hats. They're very cheap hats. They're like Timu hats. And I don't have anything on them because I just don't like promoting shit unless I really like it. And secondly, when you're doing TikToks and you're doing it on the phone, if I had something there, it would come out backwards. And I don't want people going, what the fuck does that? I want them listening to what I have to say. People read a lot of things on the internet. Yeah, they do. Baby boomers single-handedly destroyed everything the previous generations built. Yeah, look, I'm a baby boomer. I'm a young baby boomer, and I have my issues with many baby boomers, people of my age and older, but they didn't wreck everything. Here's the thing: I always get a kick when millennials complain about baby boomers and baby boomers make complaints about millennials. Here's the deal: I'm a baby boomer. I raised two millennials. If I have a problem with millennials, maybe I had to look to myself and see how well I raised those motherfuckers. Now, millennials, that's a different deal. When they complain about boomers, this is what I told my son once. They say, oh, they're selfish. They want everything for themselves. And I explained to my son when he was like 8 years old, and I took him to Target to get him whatever he wanted for his birthday. And he bought $200 worth of Batman plastic shit. And I got it for him. But funny, he wasn't complaining about boomers then, was he? Can you sue out of state people? I think you can. Um, Mike, I absolutely love your commentary. Can relate to what we call OG in the hood. Yeah, thank you. Baby boomers had it the easiest. Well, maybe, maybe. But you have to understand baby boomers came before Republicans took over and started running things to shit, like Ronald Reagan. So previous to Ronald Reagan, things were running better. From like the 50s to the mid 70s, things were pretty good in this country. But then the Republicans got hold and things started to change and they started to attack the middle class. Now, you can blame baby boomers for voting for Republicans because you're probably right about that. But there's more to it than blaming a generation or making a generalization about a generation. I have three or multiple millennials in my family, and I happen to love them all. They have some boomers in their family, and they love the boomers. It's not everybody. You can't make sweeping judgments like that. You could say that I'm a boomer, so I must be a racist, Trump humping piece of shit, but clearly I'm not. So not everybody is bad. Hey, brother, do you think young people today have it harder than the generation in trying to achieve financial freedom? I absolutely do. You know, that's the funny thing. We hear the Democrats talking about how great the economy is. And for all the data points, stock market, GDP, unemployment, that's true. That is very true. The economy's good in this respect. But if you know millennials and Gen Zs, they do have a much harder time than we did. When I went to college, it wasn't nearly as expensive as it is now. I wasn't stuck with tens, if not hundreds of $1,000s worth of student loans. When you got out, you got a reasonable amount of pay where you could pay back that loan and buy a house and do the things you wanted to do. The economy is not good for the young people today because they go spend tons on college tuition. They have heavy debt. Then they get out and they got $100,000 worth of debt, and then they end up getting a $30,000 a year job, and then they can't afford to buy a house or new cars or anything like that. And that is a huge problem, not just for the young people, for this country. The baby boomers are dying off 5,000 a day. The baby boomers have kind of been carrying this economy because they have money, right? Because they've been around a long time. But what happens when the millennials and the Gen Zs are the ones that are carrying this economy? They can't afford to buy houses. They can't buy new cars. They don't have any discretionary money because we pay them like shit. Guess what's going to happen? All you old people who have houses that you were counting on using for your retirement, they aren't going to be worth as much because nobody can afford it. Nobody can qualify for it. The economy is going to take a shit. Yes, I think young people have a much harder time now than we did, and it bothers the shit out of me. I do what I can to help my kids to make sure it's a little easier on them, but not everybody can do that. This country has got to do something, if not for the younger folks, for the sake of the country in general. Um, let's see here. What do you do for Christmas? Um, I get together with my family. We have dinner. We exchange gifts, standard stuff. I got my wife's side of the family. I got my side of the family. I got kids. I got grandkids. My wife and I went out shopping for my granddaughter. We bought a bunch of toys that she wanted. And my wife says, well, I think we got enough for her. I go, no, we don't. We're grandparents. We buy as much shit as we can afford. Uh, Grandma won on that case, but if it were up to me, that kid would get a lot more presents. I respect Liz Cheney, country before party. I respect her integrity. I respect her honesty. But in terms of a politician, I would never vote for her. She's ultra conservative. She's against abortion. She's just not somebody who is a friend of the Democrats. She stood up against Donald Trump. I'll give you that. But she's not our friend. Just remember that. Is Judge Judy a Trump supporter like Dr. Phil? Fucking no. Probably. She's of that age. And who gives a fuck about Judge Judy? Um, Jim Johnson says it was great seeing my friends Luigi Mangione on 12/4/24 between the hours of 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. Clever. The Trump fucks are getting their ass kicked. Well, yeah, we should do everything we can to kick their stupid asses. Todd says it's a huge problem crushing student income. Yeah, it absolutely is. And it's a problem that's not only a problem for kids, but for this country and the economy ultimately. We better pay attention to that. Joe Biden was trying to help with the student loan forgiveness thing. And of course, the Republicans were against it. So when those problems occur, remember who's the one that caused it. It is the Republicans. My son died in the Army. I love my son and country. Well, I'm sorry for your loss. We're thankful for his service, and I hope days get better for you. Ryan, I went through medical school. I'll be all right eventually. My wife did too. We're early in our careers and we owe about $1 million in education debt at 8%. That is very hard to dig out of. Yeah, it is very hard to dig out of. And frankly, I've said this before and people think I'm joking, but I mean it. This country, typically before Donald Trump was in, when there are crises in this country, hurricane, a fire, tornadoes, and people's homes are destroyed and there's tragedy out there, this country will get some money together and make those people whole again because they weren't counting on this. We have yet another crisis in this country. We've got an epidemic of stupid motherfucking people. We've got people that either can't afford college or just don't go to college or don't go into any kind of extra education. It doesn't have to be college. It could be the trades. It could be anything. Do something to better for yourself, but people can't afford it. This is a crisis in this country. We've proven in the last election that we have an inordinate amount of stupid people. With that crisis in mind, we should let everybody go to college and pay for it just to try to bring up the intelligence in this country. Let's see here. Trevor Lee says, I can't believe that Elon was persuading the House Republicans about the child cancer bill and they denied that. What the fuck? Well, yeah, that's one of the things they wanted to do in the Plan B option that didn't pass. They wanted to cut money to child cancer. These fucking people are the worst. They are the worst humans you can ever imagine. Kelly Downing says, am I the only one who thinks Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer need to retire? No, I'm with you on that. We need to get rid of all the old guard. The old guard is why we ended up the way we ended up in the November 5th election. So if it doesn't work, try something different. We shouldn't have let Nancy Pelosi have influence over getting Jerry Conley as the Oversight Committee's ranking member. It should have been AOC. We need to go with the youth movement. What the old people have been doing isn't working anymore. They're playing in a different world, a different parallel universe. You know, they are playing like it's the 90s, early 2000s politics. It's not. It's a new world. It's a new day. And this is a much more volatile time period. So we need people young enough and smart enough to know how to fight the fight. People that know a little bit about social media like AOC so we can use it to our advantage. We don't need somebody like Jerry Conley, who's a fine rep, but he's 74 years old. He's white and he's struggling with throat cancer. What makes him a better choice than AOC? It's absolute bullshit. Steve says, I believe young people have it rougher too. I try to help them if I can. Absolutely. What is your opinion of the latest statement of Mr. Trump regarding Canada about being the 51st state? Fucking ignorant. It's stupid. It certainly would never happen. And if you keep threatening Canada and Mexico, it's going to cost this country. As much as Donald Trump wants to think that these are weaker countries, and maybe they are, they're very important to us. They are our major trading partners. We get a lot of shit from them. We get most of our oil from Canada. And if they cut off the oil, we're fucked. And then when we're not fucked, the gas prices are going to go way up. And you can thank Donald Trump for that. The same goes for Mexico. We get a lot of vehicles from there. Your car prices are going to go up. Car parts come from there. Fixing your car is going to get more expensive. Donald Trump doesn't know fuck all about what he's doing, and he's going to put us into a nosedive if he's allowed. But again, Congress is going to have something to say about that. So I'm not devastated or fatalistic about it. The Sharon Fertner says, quit talking about him. He does what he wants. Are you a Trump humper, Sharon? TJ, check that out. Um, what about absolute shit show? Can this get better? Can you please let us know if we'll be able to be fine for the next 4 years? Um, Fine. I don't think we'll be fine. I don't think we'll be as bad off as people think. We'll get through it like we've gotten through every other time. I've said before the 1960s were maybe more turbulent than what we're dealing with now. And we got through that, got to the 70s, and things were going all right. Um, Good luck, America. Love the people, landscapes, food, but everything else about this country is a mess, like no structure anywhere. Greetings from the Netherlands. Well, thank you, Luna. I appreciate that. And you are absolutely right. Um, Bill says, I wish there was more discussion on why higher education is so expensive. I don't understand why higher education is expensive and that it's ballooned like it has. Well, the same could be said for healthcare. Why is it? Well, I'll tell you why. Greedy motherfuckers. That's why. Um, with health care, you've got insurance companies who only care about the bottom line. In tuition, you've got lenders, banks that only care about the bottom line. They don't care about doing the job or helping anybody, which is what our government should be doing. But that's the problem. We got greedy motherfuckers trying to grift any way they can. Steve Mundy says that bill they proposed today really sure does suck. Look at all that crap they ran through today. Every bit of one of those people, Republicans and Democrats, absolutely crap. Well, they turned it down, so you got to at least give them that. 16 tones studio. When I went to TCU, it was about 650, which is higher now. But the only reason I was able, my mother got a job there, took advantage of employee benefits. Yeah, you're absolutely right. People did what they had to do. Gray Matter says building materials from Canada. Yeah, we get wood from Canada. Remember when the lumber prices were so fucking high? Remember that? It cost you way more to build a house. Yeah, those were the days. You can expect to see more of that if there's a tariffs put on Canada. Keegan says, what's your favorite NFL team? Well, I'll give you a hint. I live in Minnesota. The Vikings. I'm not as heavy into sports as I once was, but if I'm going to say anybody, it's the Minnesota Vikings. Ramon says, how can someone that's not even in the branch of non government have any say of what the House and our House says and does? Well, he doesn't have an official title that gives him any authority. That goes without saying. But as long as Donald Trump gives him an ear, and then in turn, the Republicans in the House and the Senate give him an ear, that's how he's got influence. It's Trumplifucks that are weak ass bastards. Katrina Jones says, how long before Trump gets tired of Musk? Well, that's a good question. I think that day will come, especially now that everybody's calling him President Elon Musk. Donald Trump is going to hate that. And at some point, as always the case, that Donald Trump never holds on to friends very long. They either see the cracks in him or he feels like they're stepping on his toes. And I'll be honest with you, Elon's stepping on that motherfucker's toes right now. Ramon says Donald Trump can't get rid of Elon Musk because Elon Musk did something with that election and Donald Trump knows it. That could be. Wouldn't surprise me. And that's what I was saying before. Apparently, Donald Trump has been leveraged or played by Elon Musk. And that is a problem. You're absolutely right. That's something that has to be considered. Exiled Revenger, hello from Wales in the UK. Hey, how you doing? Um, Ramon says he is not going to get rid of. Okay, we already saw that. TJ reminds you to listen to the Rational Boomer podcast on Spotify for the audio version and on YouTube for the video version. We have a new podcast at least once a day. Sometimes, like tomorrow, we will have two shows that you can listen to. There's always plenty to hear on the Rational Boomer podcast, and I hope that you check it out. And we talk about a lot of things. We have listeners who are guests. So if you're a listener and you want to be a guest, it's open to you. All you have to do is email me at rationalboomer@gmail.com. Steve says, seems like something is brewing with the Elonia muskrat and Chumpty Dumpty. Elonia is getting way more attention. Yeah, that's going to be troubling to Donald Trump. He doesn't like it when people get more attention. He usually reacts badly in those situations. But again, Elon may have some leverage. Elon has a lot of money, and the only thing Donald Trump loves more than attention is fucking money. I heard that Elon is thinking about buying Truth Social and merging it with X, which would mean a lot of money to Donald Trump. And Truth Social is dying on the vine and has been for some time. Elon Musk can buy it, put some money in Donald Trump's pocket. So Donald Trump doesn't really want to piss him off yet. And because Donald Trump loves money so much, that might be a reason they keep him around. Or, if he did something with the election, Donald Trump will want to keep his people like that close to him. So it's hard to say how that's all going to flush out. Gia says they're both attention seekers. Yeah, they're both narcissistic, sociopathic, pathological liars. They are. And that's my concern is if you have two narcissists in the same proximity, you're going to have problems. One of them's going to lose. And it's going to be Elonia, Elon, Leon, Elmo, whatever you want to call that motherfucker. He's going to lose. Donald Trump is president. He has the power. Musk has the money. But I have a feeling that as much as Musk is using Donald Trump is playing Musk too. They will burn each other at some point. And there'll be a falling out between them. I know who owns Elon Musk. Well, Thomas, who is that? Are you talking about Peter Thiel? I don't think it's him. Elon has more money than anybody, so I don't know how anybody could own him. Elon Musk want to talk about immigrants. He wasn't even born here. He got a legal visa to work over here. Yeah, that's the ironic thing. The Republicans vote for Donald Trump. They're all about hating the immigrants. And then Elon Musk takes over as the proxy president, and he is an immigrant. He's from South Africa. Not only is he from South Africa and an immigrant, there's now some indications that he may have done it illegally. Isn't that ironic? The people leading the Republicans is an illegal immigrant. Fuck. All right, moving on. Caught an article that the EU is putting money into replacing Starlink. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Some people are saying that there are people in the government, the DOJ, are looking into Elon Musk. The problem is that in a month, it'll be Donald Trump's DOJ and they'll quit looking. So I'm not counting on the United States bringing him down unless they do it someplace outside the government. Apartheid Musk. Yeah, that's absolutely right. That's where he came from. His racism comes naturally. And that's who he is. It's funny. I heard somebody talking about him and knew him and said that even 2 years ago, he was an entirely different guy. He wasn't as bad as what we're seeing now. And I think it has to do with being drunk with power. He sees that he can buy a US president, which he has done. Donald Trump is a weak ass bitch, and Elon Musk is pulling the strings on Donald Trump. And that's a sad thing to say, but we shouldn't be surprised. Donald Trump will do anything for anybody as long as there's benefit to him, whether it be money or adulation or whatever the fuck. All right, we're getting close to the end of this live. I'm starting to get a little tired and running out of things to talk about. But I want to thank you folks for taking the time and listening to the this live. We're going to do more on YouTube with the lives. I enjoy doing it here. It's much easier. It's a much easier climate here. Gets a little hectic um, on TikTok sometimes. I like doing it on TikTok because it's busy, but after a while it gets very tiring. Here you can kind of relax and talk to folks, which is what I like to do. And again, I want to remind you to check out the Rational Boomer podcast. It's a podcast that comes out every day, literally every day without fail. There will be one on Christmas Day, I promise you. But you can get the audio version on Spotify. You can get the video version on YouTube. Just look for search Rational Boomer. And this live will be out there on YouTube and in Spotify too. So if you didn't hear the whole live, you can hear it there. Somebody's just asking, what do you think of Rashida Tlaib? I'm not a big fan of hers. I think she's a little extreme sometimes. Um, Raymond Lindsay says, my dad served with Tom Horman. The new borders are my dad said that he is the most racist man on earth. Yeah, that guy is a dupe. That Tom Horman, he's a guy that thinks he's tough, but would probably get knocked on his ass by any reasonable man. And hopefully somebody will do that. Anyway, I want to thank you for joining me on the Rational Boomer podcast, the live on YouTube. I'll be back again soon. Of course, I have videos every day, so be looking for them. And I appreciate you taking the time to listen. All right. I've signed out of the live. I'm still here on the podcast, but you know what? We're going to wrap things up here. I've talked enough. I've already got one podcast running. This will be an extra podcast. So thank you for listening to that. I hope you have a great day, and we will talk to you again tomorrow.